Welcome to Cory's Conscious Living. It's time to meditate with Cory. Lay down and get very comfortable. So comfortable that you'll be able to stay still and quiet and peaceful throughout this whole meditation if you can. My story tonight is all about Robert. Robert was a troll. He lived in Scandinavia underneath a bridge made of rock that was very, very old, hundreds and hundreds of years old. Robert was only young, but he was actually already 1,000 years old, as trolls live to be very, very old. He was a sad troll. He was sad because he got picked on awfully all the time. Robert was tall, and some people would say he was ugly and not very attractive. Trolls aren't really the most attractive beings in the world to start with, but poor Robert got made fun of so much. That's what made him sad. No one wanted to be Robert's friend. When people did come, there were goblins that would pass over the bridge, and there were elves and fairies. The goblins were awfully mean. They were the worst ones of all. They would call Robert all sorts of names. It made him shy, and it made him not want to be around anyone, but he really wanted to have friends. Robert never went out in the daytime because trolls, if they're young, will turn to stone in the sunlight. Older trolls actually explode if they go in the sun. So Robert only ever was awake at nighttime. And that's when most of the time the goblins were around. That's why he got teased so much. They would say he was a big oaf. He was big and ugly, and no one liked him, and no one wanted to be around him. They said he was silly, and he wasn't very smart. They said awful things about him. Trolls aren't the most smartest beings. And they are quite tall, and as I said, some of them can appear to be quite ugly. But that doesn't mean that Robert wasn't a great troll, but no one ever gave him a chance. Until Ellie. Ellie was an elf, and every night Ellie had to cross over Robert's bridge to get back to her village in Scandinavia where she lived with all the other elves. She was curious about Robert. She would poke her head over the stone bridge and look underneath and see him sat there. Some days she would look over the bridge and see him, and he would be drawing things on the wall. She loved to draw. She liked that he liked to draw too. He would pick up stones and draw the sun and draw other trolls, and he would draw fire and mountains and animals all over underneath the bridge. Drawing made Robert very happy, and Ellie noticed this. She would pop her head over lots of times and never actually say anything to Robert until one day she was brave enough She'd heard so many rumors about Robert being mean and that he could do horrible things to you and you should never get on the wrong side of a troll. And trolls, if you do get on the wrong side of a troll, then they say that you should just talk and talk and talk and talk until daylight, and then the troll will have to stay wherever it is to protect itself from the sunlight, and you can escape and run away. She'd prepared herself with all of the stories that she'd ever heard about them, but yet she still wanted to meet Robert. She climbed down the side of the bridge, down the stones, and decided to walk underneath the bridge and say hello to him. She said in her tiny little elf voice, "Hello? Hello?" Robert paused. He froze. At the time he was drawing a very intricate tree on the rocks underneath the bridge. He turned around very slowly to see Ellie, this tiny little elf, talking to him. "Hello? What do you want?" said Robert. Ellie said, "Well, I see that you're always down here, and I see that you're always alone, and I see that you like to draw. You're very good at drawing. I love to draw. I thought maybe this evening, before I go home, I could draw with you for a while." Robert took in a big breath. He didn't know what to do with himself. This was the first time anyone had ever tried to be his friend. All they'd ever done before is just tease him. He was a little bit untrusting, and he thought maybe it was a trick. Maybe the goblins had sent Ella to trick him out of the bridge or something like that, and maybe they wanted him to get stuck in the daylight. There was only a few hours of nighttime to go. Maybe they had a plan and they would tie him to a tree or do something mean. All of these thoughts was going through Robert's mind, but all he said was, "Okay. What's your name?" Ellie said, "My name's Ellie. What's your name?" Robert said, "Robert." "Well, pleased to meet you, Robert. What can I draw with? Do you have anything I can draw with?" Robert, still very untrusting, picked up a very small stone, a tiny, tiny stone, but it was a good stone, a stone that he'd drawn with before, and he knew it would work very well on the rocks. And he passed it to Ellie. You know, they didn't really talk very much that first night. They just drew together. Ellie liked to draw rainbows, and she liked to draw fairies and unicorns, and she liked to draw donuts with sprinkles on them. Her favouriteest thing to draw in the whole world was wishing wells. She liked wishing wells very much. She liked to pretend that she had one in her village, and every time she passed it, she could throw a pebble down there and make a wish. She talked to Robert a little bit about the wishing well and what it did and what its powers were that night, but really they didn't talk very much at all. Ellie went to see Robert underneath the bridge at least 2 times a week, and they would draw together. And as they drew together, Robert started to trust her more and more, and he started to open up. He shared his feelings about being teased and kind of bullied by the goblins, and sharing his feelings with Ellie made him feel better. She was very understanding and very, very sweet, and she would give him things to say and what to do if the goblins would come by when she wasn't there. Things he could say that would make the goblins know that they weren't bothering him at all and it was a waste of time, them teasing him and tormenting him. And Ellie was right, because eventually they stopped doing that to Robert. They would just walk over the bridge and not really bother him at all. Ellie the elf and Robert the troll became really good friends. And underneath that bridge was like an art museum. It had pictures everywhere. Now, how cool is that? Close your eyes if you haven't done so already. It's nighttime and it's dark outside. Somewhere out there in the world, Ellie and Robert are drawing underneath a bridge, a very, very old bridge in Scandinavia. With your eyes closed, you can imagine that you're right there with them. What would you draw on the walls of the bridge? What would you say to Robert about being teased? What would you do? Make sure that you're comfortable and you're starting to relax even more now. Check your body. Feel inside of your body. Be aware of all the twitches and tingles and sensations. Really, really focus in and put all of your attention inside of your body. This will help you to start to let go of your day, to start to relax. You can imagine that your body is heavy like rocks or stone. Imagine that you can't pick up your arms and you can't pick up your legs or your head, but it feels really nice to be this heavy and sleepy and relaxed. Just let yourself get really, really heavy and comfortable. Let yourself start to drift off into sweet, sweet dreams. getting more and more sleepy, more and more comfortable and still. Just let your body go. Let your body completely relax. Just let go.